So that's the dual value here of Measurement Lab, both giving users information and helping the research community and the policy community. And this has been focused on the current state of broadband networks. I want to turn now to thinking about the future. As we heard from Chairman Janikowski this morning, making a quantum leap forward to faster, universal, open broadband internet access is crucial. But how do we get there? And that's a lot of what the plan was trying to figure out. And there's no silver bullet. And imagining the future can only do so much. It's a bit like Henry Ford asking his customers what they would have wanted. And as he famously said, they would have asked for a faster horse, right? Not a car. I think the same thing is true in the broadband context, right? If you would ask consumers about dial-up internet, the innovations we've seen with broadband, we never could have imagined that. And the innovations we're going to see with faster and faster broadband are similarly, we can't expect them, but they will be transformative. So more than imagining, to actually figure out what these innovations will be and figure out how to get there, what we decided to do is try and build the future, or build a test bed for the future. When the FCC was considering its national broadband plan, we suggested that they do a series of test beds to have fiber-to-the-home connections, ultra-high capacity, 1 gigabit service to homes, to both test new deployment techniques, experiment with them, and experiment with how people would use these networks so that they could share insights, do research and experimentation, as Greg was talking about, that could help advance the broadband plan. So at Google, after we submitted those comments, we were discussing them. And in fact, Sergey Brin, one of our founders, said, well, why can't we just do that? Why can't we build a test bed? So a team got together, and in February 2010, we announced this Google Fiber for Communities project, where we put out an open request for information that communities could fill out and say if they wanted us to come and trial a test bed in their community. What we'll be doing is, in 1 or more trial locations, building fiber-to-the-home networks with 1 gigabit per second connections to homes. That's over 100 times faster than what most people receive today. And the service will be at a competitive price. It won't be free. And we'll be serving 50,000 people at least, and at a maximum, 500,000 people. And why are we doing this? Simply, we want to experiment and learn and encourage innovation in the US market. Again, if you start with the idea that we can't imagine what innovations will be possible, one way to spur on both consumer demand and investment is to try and create a test bed where killer apps will be developed. And those killer apps will then push the market forward. We also want to experiment with deployment techniques and share insights with the world. Verizon's done amazing work with Fios, deploying that in some parts of this country. There are other fiber-to-the-home providers elsewhere in the world. But there's still a lot more research and experimentation that can be done in advancing deployment techniques. We also want to provide open access to our network. And we mean open both in the sense of network neutrality, not discriminating among applications and content providers, but also operating on a wholesale basis. So Google's going to sell internet access to users in these communities. But we're also going to allow other service providers to come in, use our network, and provide their own retail internet services as well to try and experiment with business models there and encourage more competition and innovation at that level of the network. What we're not doing, simply, we're not building a nationwide network. This is really an experiment that's focused on research and sharing more data back to really drive the market and drive the policymaking process forward. With that in mind, we're not giving away internet access because we want there to be real demonstrable lessons that can be taken away from this, that can influence business and policy, and we're not seeking any special treatment or funding. Now, this project has caught the attention of quite a few people in the news and around the country, which has been surprising and humbling, and I think provides really useful insights for thinking about how we make this quantum leap forward to faster 1 gigabit connections, 100 megabit connections. And we put out this RFI in February, and in 6 weeks, we closed out the process. We'd received over 1,100 communities had submitted, saying why they should be the test bed community. Over 190,000 people, individuals in communities, had said, please bring it here. And we had all sorts of amazing community actions to help attract attention, to try and attract attention. Politicians jumping in lakes, India Pale Ale, Google Beer, Topeka changed its name to Google, all sorts of things. And there was funny, silly stuff, but there was also substantive stuff that was done by these communities, coming together and saying, as a community, this is important. We know this is important. It's actually as if it was Henry Ford asking what do you want, customers? Instead of saying a faster horse, they said, I want a Prius and a national highway system. That's sort of what this response is, right? To have the notion that communities would already be saying, we know this is important to make a leap beyond in broadband, I think is a really telling point. And it creates both a challenge and an opportunity, because Google's is just one experiment. There need to be lots of experiments, lots of research, if we're going to push that forward. We're happy to be a part of that, but we think there's a real opportunity for all these communities, now that this excitement has been shown, for many more experiments to grow, and we hope that will happen to help make that leap forward to faster, affordable, universal, and open broadband internet access. Thank you.